Welcome back. As the world gets ushered into the digital age and tech-led era, otherwise referred to as the new normal, there are people who are working tirelessly to make this possible. Some of these great people in technology are women. Just like in many male-dominated industries, the voices and presence of women is often drowned or ignored, thus creating subconsciously an idea that women aren't making any valuable input in those industries. We have an opportunity this month, Women's Month, to shine a spotlight on the women in male-dominated industries, one of which is technology in general and telecommunications in particular. There are many women in this space that are playing a critical role in the migration of mankind to a new era, digital and technology-led, which we refer to as the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Keneilwe Gwabeni is the Chief Innovation Officer at Telkom Business and has spearheaded the development and implementation of an e-commerce digital platform as well as the YEP e-marketplace that was launched this year. She joins us now. A very good morning. Thank you so much for making the time. Happy Women's Month.
Thank you very much, Desiree, for having me. It's such a great honor to be here with you today, especially during this special month of celebrating women.
Keneilwe, tell us about the work that you have done that has been seen to be transformative and leading the pack.
Well, I can go as recent as this year because it was a kind of a business unusual situation, so at Telkom, within the Telkom business space, we have implemented the digital platforms that are really geared at helping our small businesses that are highly impacted by the current pandemic. So the first one that I will just take you through is the e-commerce digital platform. This platform will enable the small businesses to be able to have access to connectivity and productivity products and services online so that they are at least able to buy and services they need to run their businesses and create some income. And the YEP e-marketplace is an exciting one for us because it's the one that really brings us closer to the small and medium businesses. This platform will help our small businesses by creating an ecosystem where they are able to advertise and sell their products and services online. The platform will also be a platform that these small businesses can actually trade amongst themselves by selling and buying each other's services.
So these solutions that you're bringing about, how do you translate them to businesses, especially the small businesses, where even after the online interaction, there is still a need for physical contact, such as your hairdressers, for argument's sake?
Yes, very true. That's very true. So what we have actually done, because unfortunately we're in a lockdown situation, and many of our businesses really do not have that luxury of physical contact. So currently what we have done with these digital platforms is to make sure that they are accessible on multiple channels and platforms, not only on your smartphones. It's also available on your computers and a desktop kind of access that's there. And this platform, specifically the YEP marketplace, is downloadable from multiple stores, online stores like your Apple iStore. It's also accessible on the Google Store as well as on the Huawei Store, so that it is easier for the small businesses to, at least with the restrictions and limitations that they find themselves in, can at least be able to run their business and contact and be able to trade and assist, provide a service to their customers.
There's always a concern about affordability. What sort of cost implications are we talking about for small businesses when taking on these new innovations?
Well, we have really engaged with our small businesses before we could implement these solutions, so that whatever it is that we're implementing will be solving for their specific problems. So there will be a cost, but it's very minimal, because the approach that we took was to make sure that we go for technology that's really hosted on our cloud environment, because in that way it enables us to reduce the related costs, which then directly translates to us not having to charge the small businesses a lot of money to use these platforms.
Yeah.
So they are fairly affordable. And the big thing that will also, this platform will bring about to our small businesses is that after engaging with them, a lot of them do appreciate funding and loans, but they say that they prefer to have access to large corporate business networks. They want us to open up our business partners networks, our suppliers networks, so that they can provide the services, their skills and their products to these corporates without having to go through funding and having debts. Then they can generate their own income through these networks. And YEP platform really responds to this, where we are bringing in large corporates on this ecosystem. These corporates will be able to advertise the tenders, and the small businesses will be able to bid and respond directly to these tenders and have a direct engagement with the corporate. What that will do is grow their businesses, but also it will expand their networks and make sure that their businesses are sustainable.
Keneilwe, as far as your role as a woman in these processes, take us through that, and also just the component or percentage of women involved in bringing about these solutions within the telecom space.
Desiree, like other corporates, when you're looking at research and the statistics of women in the fields of technology, in the fields of engineering and science, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I must say, with that being said, that corporates such as Telkom have made a lot of improvements in including and offering women in positions of power. Take myself, for example. I am being allowed and given the opportunity to be part of the leadership team in this large corporate. And within the environment of technology that I'm responsible for, women are being offered and included in senior management positions. Some of my counterparts, colleagues in heading up the CIO roles in business units within Telkom are female. So there is work that's been done. Yes, we have a lot of work to do. Yes, there is a long way before we can say we achieved the results and the targets that are suitable, and we can comfortably say a girl child's future is secured. And it is up to us as women who are offered the seats at these tables to contribute and show the value that women are bringing in this environment, so that the upcoming generation of young women can see and learn from us and saying, if a girl from a small village of Matlonyani can achieve such big things within the technology environment, they also can do it. But we must also simplify the fields of science and technology and engineering for these young minds, because it is always being positioned as this complicated industry for the superhuman beings, for the elite. And that's not true. We have to bring it closer to a girl child. We have to simplify the language we use, so that they are not intimidated and they take advantage of the opportunities that are available to them to also be part of shifting and, taking the world forward in these very male-dominated industries.
I'm interested in your wording where you say when women are being offered these places at the table. And another parallel conversation that's taking place is women should take their place at the table. What's your understanding of this debate?
It's very true what you're saying, Desiree. So if you look at my generation, for example, a lot of conversation and discussions and challenges had to be overcome for us to have these seats. So when you look at it from the older generation, this had to be offered to us. We had to do 10 times more than what our male counterparts do to achieve the same results, actually. And we had to prove ourselves over and over again so that these opportunities are offered. And it is up to us now that we are occupying these tables to show the younger generation of women that now you don't need to ask for permission. You don't have to prove yourselves and say, I can do more. I can be a mother. I can care for my children. I can build a family, and I can still achieve and perform in this industry. And then the opportunities now are different. We have really cleared a lot of blockers. Yes, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But if you look at the campaigns that corporates are driving, male top leaders are part of this. They are supporting, like the He for She, for example, campaign. A lot of male top leaders were driving this and supporting this. In that, hence my words of saying, now women are being offered this, and we are being seen and the value that we bring. But then because we are here now, it must be a different story for the upcoming generation. They won't have to be offered these things. They by virtue of just them excelling and performing in the areas of their responsibilities, then they have same responsibilities that before were offered, were open to men only. So I always look up, for example, to the mentors that were there for me. I had two amazing women that I had to learn from, and one being my mother, obviously. And the difference that I can say that I had to learn in the corporate environment is that my mother, does not have formal education, but she's very, very intelligent. After my father died, she had to raise 9 kids without formal education, without really a formal income. She had to make ends meet, and she had to go out there and take these opportunities and look for them, at different places. She was a real hustler. And when I was in the corporate environment, I met an amazing woman who was the CEO at Straight Limited, the company that I worked for. And she also sort of brought a different perspective into shaping my thinking and how I see myself within the technology industry specifically. That, my mother laid the foundation, but because she did not have experience in the corporate environment, my mentor, Monica is her name, built on top of that and helped me to change and shift my mindset that was really influenced by the challenges that I have faced throughout my career, that I had to always prove myself. I had to be offered these roles. And only then did I start looking at this whole women empowerment and the opportunities that are available to us with a different view. That's when I started having to learn how to take these opportunities without being offered. So the younger generation, they have the advantage of us saying, don't ask, for these opportunities. Take them. You are qualified for them. You belong at the table.
I like what you're saying, that women have to perform and excel, that the place at the table is not guaranteed or automatic.
No, definitely not. And I remember in the early years of my career, actually my first organization that I worked for in the corporate environment, it was really difficult to be listened to. I was the only female in the team of the IT engineers and technicians, and to add to that, I was the only black person. So the struggle and the challenges were real, and I was still very young at the time. It was very difficult to just even have an opinion or challenge, because the view has always been, you are here just for the numbers. It's an affirmative action sort of program or employment equity. And I had to do so much more to prove myself so that I can be offered, like I said, the opportunities that men had. And now, Desiree, it's different. It has been showed through research that actually women have got more intelligence, specifically the social intelligence that they bring into the collective. And social intelligence has been proven to contribute to the overall performance of the company, not just of persons or the individuals within the teams, but the bottom line, the financial performance. Women bring in a different perspective. They challenge and bring in creativity that otherwise the male counterparts don't actually bring, because women sees the world in a different way. We are born with the abilities of nurturing, of growing, and making sure that the teams that we're responsible for are looked after so that they can be much more productive. Research has shown that by doing that and including women in these top positions, the sales of the companies go up, revenue increase, the overall financial performance of the companies go up.
So we're having this conversation in trying to inspire other women who might be wanting to go this route. But we can't downplay that the position you hold at Telkom is as high as you can get. Chief Information Officer is part of that very venerated C-suite. It means you're part of the decision-making process in this company that employs about 18,000 people and is worth a lot. So the kind of decisions you make determine the success or the failure of a company. And this company is at the moment said to be doing really well. What do you think your overall contribution to the success of Telkom is, taking it away from the CEO or the other participants? What has been your contribution?
Well, Desiree, I tell you, I have been with Telkom for just about 7 months or so. And, having to occupy this position of power comes with its challenges and responsibilities. And I must say that the Telkom leadership is not really intimidated by me being a woman and having to come in and take decisions and make decisions that will impact the organization. The digital platforms that are implemented, I was given that responsibility. There was no CEO interference in my decision on how we are going to go about implementing these platforms. Yes, there's a lot of consultation. However, I was empowered, as I continue to be empowered, to do what I am hired to do. The buck stops with me in technology within Telkom business, and I am allowed that opportunity to make these decisions. And yes, we're not perfect as women. There will be times where we make mistakes, and we have to learn and grow from that. That's why I'm here today. I have implemented a whole lot of technology projects, large costs that are involved. And, with women that I mentioned, and my mentor, I also had male bosses. The specific one that I'll mention, for example, is my ex-boss, when I was in the banking industry. Sabelo allowed me the space to be myself. He understood what was, the stakes were high, that if I fail as my boss, he will be held responsible and even accountable. But he allowed me space for that. I was still growing in my career, and I was allowed, to be able to bring myself into my work to make decisions. So being at Telkom and taking the learnings that I have achieved and brought with me throughout my career has made it a little bit easy to be able to perform and make sound decisions at executive level. The risks that are involved, one needs to take those into consideration. It's not that it's a free-for-all kind of approach. It involves a whole lot of consultation and making sure that all inputs and contributions are taken into consideration by us women. Just holding this position does not mean that, I have to do it alone. I have to do it myself. I have to take the team with me. So the way that I make sure whatever decisions I make have got a diverse kind of inclusiveness of the rest of the team in what we are going to do. I sit down with the team. We co-create together. I don't just stand there and say, well, I'm the boss, I'm making the decision. Everybody contributes, everybody's input is welcome. And then from there, having considered all factors, then I make the decision that's fit for purpose and suitable for the organization.
Ms. Gwabeni, because of your seniority, you're probably part of the Telkom component that negotiates with government about digitization and the availability of spectrum. How are those conversations going? And a lot of viewers are wondering, when are we going to get to a time when we have affordable data in South Africa? What sort of conversations are taking place between your corporate and government in this regard?
Well, within my role, yes, I am very aware of the conversations, even though I'm not directly involved in those. There's a lot of discussions that are underway. You would also be aware that there are speculations around the world that, the 5G spectrum is contributing to the COVID-19 pandemic. And the ICASA, authorization body that's responsible to regulate and put policies in place on these spectrums have come out and say there has been no evidence that 5G really has got impact on COVID-19 pandemic. And Telkom is very close with those discussions having with the other authorities and authorization bodies. And because of where we find ourselves, there has been an expansion, a temporary expansion of the spectrum so that we can try and make the lives of our customers and the South African as a whole easier so that they can have connectivity, because it's now no longer a luxury, it is a necessity because of the lockdown and restrictions. Part of the day-to-day activities requires connectivity. So this temporary expansion really is solving for that. And ICASA, once the discussions and conversations have concluded, they will come back with sort of timelines on when will the permanent solution be put in place.
Of course, there's always so much to talk about, but the time doesn't allow. But we thank you very much for giving us part of your time this morning.
Thank you very much, Desiree. Happy Women's Month to you.
Same to you. Thank you very much. Keneilwe Gwabeni is the Chief Information Officer at Telkom.